Welcome, everyone. Did everyone sign up to speak who wanted to speak tonight? Wait for the chamber. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Vernon's annotated civil statute, Article 625217, that the city of Smithfield will conduct a council meeting and public hearing on November 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the City Hall located at 317 Main Street, Smithfield, Texas. I call the meeting to order. Hello, Brother Mike from First Baptist Church. Will you come lead us in an invocation and bless us?
I'm going to pray and run, guys. Sorry, I have a meeting at 6 at church also, okay? So, Father, thank you. God, what a honor to be blessed as we're blessed as Americans. God, we thank you today for the privilege of living in Smithfield. God, we thank you for our community. God, we thank you for all the blessings that you place on our lives. Father, tonight we praise you and we thank you for all of these that, Father, give of their time of serving our city. Father, we pray blessings upon them and their families. Father, we pray tonight that you would watch over everything that transpires, that God, tonight it would all go well. God, it's our desire to honor you, to please you in life. God, we thank you for the goodness that you've shown toward us. Thank you for loving us. Father, we love you tonight. Now go with us. We want to honor you in everything we do. For it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one. Councilmember Washington, he will read for the proclamation for the day of Thanksgiving.
Whereas for Father established a day of Thanksgiving, a special day set aside to acknowledge these blessings. And whereas it has become transitional for people of the United States to celebrate a day of Thanksgiving as a way to reflect on their many blessings and give thanks for all they have been given. And whereas the people of this country and more specifically the people of Smithfield are truly blessed, with much for which they are thankful. And whereas we count our blessing, let us not forget the freedom we so often take for granted. Freedom that were hard fought by earlier generation and current servicemen and women who have given their lives so that we might be free. And whereas with these freedom comes a responsibility. It is up to each of us to find a way to participate in the community by working through the churches, the schools, local service organizations, and city to help improve quality of life for those who are less fortunate.
Now therefore, I, Sharon Forrester, Mayor of the City of Smithfield, do hereby proclaim Thursday, November 28th, 2024 as a day of Thanksgiving. We urge all citizens to join with the churches of our city to reinforce the ties of family and community and express gratitude for the many blessings we enjoy. Thank you. Councilmember Jenkins, will you lead us with the honor of Veterans Day?
Whereas our community has a continuing sense of gratitude to those who have given so much in the defense of the freedoms which we all continue to enjoy, and whereas the freedoms we enjoy as Americans have been purchased and maintained at a high price throughout our history, and whereas since the establishment of the original 13 states, Americans have been willing to fight and die to preserve their individual rights guaranteed in the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and whereas we owe a great debt to those who have served in defense of this nation, and whereas throughout the generations, their sacrifices have preserved our unique form of government dedicated to human rights and respect for the individual, and whereas for many, that sacrifice has ended in permanent injury or death, yet their spirit remains in the continued preservation of our freedoms and the promise of liberty established as an example for all the oppressed persons of the world. And whereas in honor of those dedicated men and women, we pledge our continued defense of our nation so that their sacrifice will stand before the entire world as a tribute to the spirit and determination of a people dedicated to the principles of freedom and democracy.
Now therefore, I, Sharon Forrester, Mayor of the City of Smithville, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim November 11th as the Honor Our Veterans Day, and urge all citizens to honor our veterans and rededicate themselves to a preservation of our liberties under the Constitution. The next proclamation is National American Indian Heritage Month. National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, American Indian Committee Proclamation. National American Indian Heritage Month. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous peoples, and whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976 and recognized was expanded by Congress and approved by President George Bush in August 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of the National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations, as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Smithville, Texas, that the month of November 2024 is hereby recognized as National American Indian Heritage Month, and urge all our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. National American Indian Heritage Month, passed and approved on the 12th day of November 2024. We have some Roseland and Miss Peggy Wallachek is here with us. Would y'all please come forward? I signed the proclamation earlier.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, hotel occupancy tax quarterly update. Miss Erica with the Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, everyone. So in front of you, you have the reconciliation summary for hot funds, which has a balance right there of 729.18. And then I also provided you just a breakdown of some of the expenses that we've had. And then I also, in front of you, you have the new 78957 magazine. So you're gonna also see the P&L for the magazine that we just printed out. Give me 1 second. So this year, one of the things that I did with the magazine, I actually brought it in-house. So before it was sorted out, and so there was, printing done elsewhere in the editing and all of that stuff. So I brought it in-house and actually saved us some money. We've got money that I put a $20,000 budget on the magazine. And from what you can see, however, just so you guys know, Susie is who we hire to do our hot funds. And she was supposed to be here in case we had any questions, because I actually do have a question. And I highlighted on page 2 on the P&L report. I'm not sure where she's getting the 14,680 from, and I haven't been able to contact her or get a response from her to find out where that's coming from. But from the totals that I have, as far as the labor, including printing, it was 17,555 is what we spent on the magazine. And then the total ad sales that we did was 11,652. So we actually had, when you add all of that up and then subtract what we did in ad sales, what we spent on the magazine, and that's for 10,000 copies, was 5,902.75. So that was one of our major projects that we had this year with HOT. And let me know if you guys have any questions on that.
Question, Mayor. I have a question now. Do you have a rest of a presentation?
Yes, well,
Okay,
I
let
have
me just
some.
wait until the end.
Okay. And so another thing that we did this year too was the Houston Astros team yearbook. And I set a couple of those so you guys can see there's an ad in there. The cost for the ad was $2,000. And last year, normally the cost for a book like that, it's $20,000. And this also included 3 Astro tickets, which we're able to use for this coming year. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do with those 3 tickets, but we're thinking about some kind of maybe fundraiser or raffle or something. And of course, that money would go back into hot funds. Last year, they sold, they had a 2.7 million in total attendance, and they sold over 20% of that. So over 500,000 copies were distributed. I'm still reaching out with the salesperson to see what they did this past season, because I'd like to get a number on that. And then, let's see. Some of the other projects that we have still for this year, if you see the this one right here, this is a billboard that we're looking at putting up on Highway 71. And Janice Bruno has given us permission to put this up. We're just now trying to decide what size, how big we want it, and how big we can go in the area where we have where she's allowed us to place this billboard here. So that we don't know exactly how much that's going to be yet, but I'm trying to keep a budget of about $6,500 with the cost that it's going to cost us to print. I just don't have the total yet because we're still working on that project. And then the last one here with the Visit Smithville, this is a sticker that I'm looking at printing. We get a lot of visitors that come over to Smitty still. And so when I'm at my office, I see people constantly coming over, taking pictures. And so I want to be able to offer, some of the people that are taking pictures, if they tag us on Facebook, then they can get like a free sticker. So the sticker is going to be really small. And we're gonna see how that plays out. We'll have a sign that we put out over by Smitty that will tell them, if they tag us on Facebook, they can come and pick up the free sticker. So it's just another way for us to advertise Visit Smithville. And, you never know who's visiting and where they're going to put that sticker. So it's just a great way for us to keep promoting Smithville. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so one of the, and you'll have to, Robert may be able to refresh my memory. There's 3 or 4 things that are required by cities when they report and manage hot tax. One of them is the reporting like you've done, and then an annual budget that I think we did showing how the money's going to be spent.
Mhm.
But what are the metrics that you use and that you track to show the results from the expenditures? Nights,
So-
overnight stays, because it is a tourism lodging, since they're the ones that pay it, that's the targeted beneficiaries of this. So tell me
Right.
what metrics y'all use.
So right now, we're in the process of actually updating the site, because to be honest with you, when I got on there to look at some of the editing that I was needing to do for the website, now this is for the chamber website. There was never any kind of metrics on our site to be able to see how many visitors we're having on the website, and that's something that I'm working on. As far as the Visit Smithville site, that is something that Susie is in charge of taking care of, and she's not here to answer that question. But I would hope that we have some kind of SEO on that site. We should. And so she's been the one in charge of taking care of that. But I can look to see what I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I can look and pull up the site to see how many visitors we're getting to that site. One of the other things that we've done, that's going to be a little hard for us to measure, but if you look through this magazine, we've added a lot of QR codes so that it takes them straight to the website, to lodging and shopping and that sort of thing. So we have updated the site to reflect some of that information.
So is traffic to the website a metric? Is that what you're suggesting is a metric? What about hotel night stays? STR night stays, which is really who pays this, and who is looking for the correlation or the connection between the dollars that they give to be spent,
Right.
and how many nights of additional stays people do. Is there a way to do that? And I don't know if Robert or Cynthia has any comments on that, but
we did purchase a platform called Placer AI. I can't drill into what the Katie House does specifically, or another B&B, because it's too small of a footprint. But what we've done is taken, for example, if you have an event like Wingfest, I can tell you 2 weeks after the event how many people attended that event based upon the footprint of where it was. So that's not a metric they're tracking, but it's something that I'm very interested in. Yeah, Jamboree.
yeah, and I think it's really difficult. I don't want to be too suggesting that maybe it's an easy thing that you're just not doing. I think that we have to be reminded the people that pay the tax are paying the tax to promote lodging. The hotel and the short-term rental, they're the ones that pay the tax. They pass it through, but they're the ones that submit the tax, and it's supposed to benefit by statute. The law is there to benefit the people who provide lodging. So an obvious and logical metric is, how do we show people that pay the tax in town that the dollars that are being spent are generating the results that it was intended to? And I think it's hard to do that, but I think that's one of the things in future reporting, you ought to develop a metric beyond the SEO.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
just helps to track to where you can tell, Tiffany at Katie House or whoever owns a short-term rental, this is how much money you paid in, and this is how many nights people stayed in Smithville last year versus what they stayed this year. It's up 6% or 5% or whatever. I
Yeah,
just think
that's a
that's
good
a
idea.
metric. It's going to be hard to do, but I think that is the intent of the law.
Yeah,
is to
that's a good idea.
drive lodging nights staying in town.
Mhm.
I would think that the company that we have hired that's going to do the hot tax and stuff, they would be able to track by month about how much is coming into town.
Are we even using them anymore, Robert?
Yeah.
We are?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I thought we
that
were
would
not
be a
happy.
metric that we could use for that.
And I would like to get that, a copy of that. if
Yeah,
I can
and
get
that would
yeah.
be a logical, we need some metric that
Yes.
ties more directly to hotel
I
night
agree.
stay.
I agree. The only, one of the things that we did here at the magazine is I offered STR owners that pay hot funds a free quarter page ad in the magazine. And so we did have some STR owners that took advantage of that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone?
All right, next on is Rural Whole Health Coalition presentation. Hello, Miss Sherry. The more the merrier, come on. The more the merrier.
All right. All right. Oh, Jill, thanks. Sorry, Jennifer. That makes way more sense. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Go ahead.
guys. So hi, my name is Cherie Hatcher and I am the director for the Rural Whole Health Coalition. Some of you guys have probably seen me skulking around the halls at City Hall, wondering what the heck that girl's doing. So I thought maybe I might come tonight and fill you in. As you know, the Rural Whole Health, or the RWHC, as I like to lovingly call it, is a new version or new iteration of the Smithville Whole Health Partnership. And our new name represents a lot of things, but most importantly, our relationship with the city of Smithville. And so I would like to thank you guys for your graciousness and your hospitality. Particularly, I'd like to recognize Robert. He's been incredibly gracious and patient with us. So thank you very much for being a partner with us. And then I would like to tell you guys a little bit about what we are doing and then where we are going. The flyer that Jill just passed out, thank you. We'll also, I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Can you hear, can everybody hear me? I feel like I can't hear myself, so maybe that's just an age issue. We have been busy the last few months, really trying to get things going. We still are busy. We are working to fund for next year. We've written a number of grants. We have partnered, most importantly, we have partnered with some very strategic folks. The Chamber, Eric and I are working on a career fair, in fact, to come up with the City of Smithfield, the high school. I'm working with Bastrop County Cares, Norma Mercado, who some of you I'm sure know is one of my dear friends and partner in crime. Actually, she's a mentor. I call her, she's a friend and a mentor. And she and I have worked on many ventures, and we are working right now on a co-grant to help fund community health workers. So as you guys know, maybe I should back up a little bit, maybe a little bit about who we are specifically. We have three impact areas, and that is financial health, mental health, and primary health. And then we have set our agenda for 2025, and underneath those global or those primary impact areas, we have three initiatives that we'll be working on, and that is women's health for primary care, suicide prevention and awareness for mental health, and then housing equity for financial health. That doesn't mean that other things aren't important to us. That just means that specifically we're going after grants that target those three areas for our rural residents in Central Texas. So back to my partnering. So partnering with BCC and other various organizations, specifically workforce. So Janice and Christy at the community clinic, we are working closely, and every day we seem to bridge a better relationship and a more clear understanding about how we are going to collaborate in the future. An example of that is that we wrote a grant to continue to fund the Health on Wheels bus for the 2025, and we for Methodist Health Ministries, MHM. And we asked them for a 30% increase year over year, because we noticed that last year, only 6 months of the year we were able to actually go out. And there was this incredible need. We had to turn people away, and that is not the goal, right? We also have written recently, and I'll introduce my colleagues in a second, a grant to address senior oral health care. And we'll learn lots of good information about how senior oral health care is tied inextricably to the social determinants of health and how that impacts our seniors and then impacts us as well. Those are some of the grants that we've written for, among others. We are also working right now to prop up the website. I'm hoping that'll be done this week. And through that, we have partnered with the United Way to offer all rural residents an access to it's really ATX Connect, but it is a source for people to go in and put their zip code in, and then they can find services, wraparound services for a number of things. It could be emergency management, it could be rental assistance, it could be a lot of things, right? We've partnered with them on our website. We also are considering at our next board meeting to apply for 501c3. And we also have 2 new hires that I'd like to now introduce. And I told Robert I would keep it to 5 minutes, so I'm trying hard. This is Eric Jones. Eric Jones comes to us by way of, BCC. He also works in partnership with Norma and BCC as well, but he worked previously at the Urban League. And then Tay Norman, also same thing, was a colleague of Eric's. And so he recommended that she join us. So Eric is going to be working primarily on grants and policy. And then Tay will be working, wait, no, I've got it wrong. Grants and partnerships, sorry. And Tay will be working in education and policy for us moving forward in 2025. So here to us getting fully funded in 2025. Okay, lastly, the flyer that I sent out to you guys is a convening that in collaboration with Janice at the Workforce, we'll be having on December 12th, Thursday. We've invited all of our health sector partners to join us. And so we'll be talking to them about what the needs are in the community, how we can collaborate with them. We also have invited some folks with lived experiences around their experience with workforce and what that has done for economic development in the region, specifically in Smithville. And then the latter part is a luncheon. So our friend John Chabot, who I'm sure you all know, I was told to say his name a lot because it's good food. He's catering for us at the luncheon. We would like for you guys to invite you all to come for us and join us. It's $35 to help raise a little bit of money for both Janice and myself. We also have a keynote speaker. His name is John Henderson, and he is the president of TORT, which is Texas Organization for Community and Rural Hospitals. I believe that I got that right. And specifically, his passion is the closing of our rural hospitals and then how we are bridging the gap to meet the health demands. So come join us, listen to him, and have some good food. Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for all your hard work. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the October 21st, 2024 council meeting. Do I have any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the city council meeting, October 21st, 2024.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor? A motion is approved.
Mayor, I do have a couple of follow-up questions on some items that we dealt with in the last meeting, if I may. This is just follow-up, make sure that we had action items to get some status updates. Is that appropriate for now?
Sure.
On the license to encroach on the AOI with the air conditioning units, are there any changes in that?
Changes in only the fact that the encroachment was approved. I'm sorry, let me back up. The certificate of appropriateness was approved because they put them on the ceiling, on the roof of the building, not on the sidewalk.
So it's going on the roof.
It's already on the roof. Yes, sir.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Yeah, yeah.
No, thank you for the update. And then on the airport hangars, is everything going all right in terms of our funding there?
Earnest money contract has been signed. We are coming up with some issues regarding some funding, but those can be worked. I'm not prepared to go into those at this time.
And finally, in terms of discussion on the smart meter opt-out, which was brought up by, I think, a citizen in the last meeting also, can you just give a broad explanation of what the smart meter program in terms of automatic inclusion or the need to opt out? I think it's a $15 fee that I noticed in the fee schedule.
certainly. So the opt-out was an option that you had when the system was transferred from being a analog to a digital system. It was a one-time opt-in only, it lasted a year. We do not offer opt-outs to new citizens because, or new utility customers, because that defeats the purpose of going to a digital system. So those that have opt-outs, have chosen to opt out, are still getting billed, but we are not offering new opt-outs to new customers.
Okay, no additionals.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
I have one signed up and it's Chris Wilkie.
Hello, Mr. Wilkie. Come on down.
I want to give you an example of exceeding expectations. We had all of the light bulbs in our house changed fluorescent tubes. That's an experience in terms of how much it costs. The gentleman who replaced all those bulbs neglected to take the fluorescent tubes with him. So I went to See Click Fix and I asked the question, how do I dispose of the tubes? Well, I got a response back that said, put them in your garbage can. But that didn't work because I put them in the garbage can the day before and the people who picked the trash up didn't take them. So I wrote back to See Click Fix and said, help. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, we go knock on the door. The maintenance people from the city showed up and said, where are the tubes? Now that's exceeding expectations, okay? So to your group and everyone here, understand that these people provide an amazing service. I just wanted to share that anecdote. I was impressed. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Edward, thank you, and thank your team.
Hardworking group of
Thank you,
guys.
Mr. Wilkie.
Thank you. Where we go from here? Next item is hearing from planning and zoning.
How are y'all? I guess for those who don't know, my name is Garrett Gutierrez. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Another fairly short meeting this month. First item was a minor replat combining 4 lots into one at 911 Southeast Martin Luther King Drive, Burleson Block 59, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. Parcel ID 21834, 21837, 21840, and 59974. Property owners, Bastrop County. Agent was Tim Sanders with Bevco Engineering. Essentially, the county's wanting to tear their barn down and build a new facility, a building there on their facility. According to Mr. Sanders, they will follow all the guidelines and ordinances of the city to accomplish this. So unanimously passed by the planning and zoning to combine those 4 lots into one for them to be able to do what they need to do over there. The second item was minor replat combining 2 lots into one at 1730 Brazos Bend River Chase Estates subdivision, fraction of lot 7 and lot 8, property ID 85475 and 85476, property owner Kristen Burns and Nicholas Mendenhall. Essentially, they're trying to get their property all into one lot. The house is built across the lot line today. And eventually they plan to add possibly a swimming pool or something like that in the back. And to do that, they will need to get this. So they're trying to get into compliance with the subdivision and to make sure everything's right for future, potentially future development of their property.
Any questions?
On both of these, no citizen comments were made at the P&Z meeting. There was one couple that showed up and they were here earlier and they left. I'm not for sure what they were there just to hear or see or whatever, but yeah, nobody made any comments on it and not a whole lot of questions about it.
Y'all have any questions? Okay, thank you. At this time, let's step away. Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Jenkins is going to take over. I have a an engagement I have to attend for a young man. So, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move out of the open meeting into the public hearing. Do we have any citizen comments on this? No? Okay. Yes, yeah, okay. Closing public hearing, moving back into the open meeting. So, discussion and action on the replats. Any comments?
I'm sorry, point of order. We do need to go back. Is this the public hearing section?
I
Okay.
said into the open meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta remove, I'm sorry, I didn't see that on that.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm still just shocked that someone, it's like seeing a chupacabra. So, Mr. Wilkie, thank you for giving a compliment. So many people come up and ride us like a dime store pony. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
No, so we're still in the open meeting. Okay, so we need a discussion and action from the council on the minor replat. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the minor replat combining 4 lots into one at 911 Southeast Martin Luther King Drive, Burleson Block 59, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. Parcel ID 21834, 21837, 21840, and 59974. Property owner Bastrop County Agent Tim Sanders, Befco Engineering.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No discussion? Okay. Vote on approval of the motion. Me too. Sorry, I forget I vote. Okay. Against? Carried. Mr. Washington is abstaining because he works for the county. Okay, the next is the minor replat combining 2 lots at 1730 Brazos Bend, River Chase Estates. Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move we approve the minor replat combining 2 lots into 1 lot at 1730 Brazos Bend, River Chase Estates subdivision, fraction of lot 7 and lot 8. Property ID 85475 and 85476. Property owners Kristen Burns and Nicholas Mendenhall.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, approval of the motion? Against? All yes? Okay. So is this back into, let's go back into to the public, or we're just saying in here? Okay. It says citizen comments on here, so that's kind of. Okay, all right, thank you.
Always confusing.
Yeah, always. Okay, discussion and action on an ordinance reauthorizing building permit fees, updating the master fee schedule, and adding short-term rental fee and subdivision review fees.
Okay, Council and Mayor, a little background on this. HB 3492 passed by the 88th Legislature now prohibits the city charging a developer of a subdivision a fraction or a portion of the infrastructure cost as part of the construction permit. This did not have any impact on commercial developments. To that point, we can still charge 0.5% of the total infrastructure development costs as part of the construction permit, in addition to any actual fees associated with third-party review of construction plans. So basically, HB 3492, we can't charge developers of subdivisions a construction fee that's based upon the cost of the infrastructure. Okay, that's the first thing this particular item 13 does, is establishes those construction permit fees In addition, we're adding the short-term rental, the annual permit of $150. So we're asking you to approve the updated master fee schedule as it appears in your packet and behind me. Any questions?
Okay, no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm on a roll, so I'll do that.
Mhm.
I move we approve the ordinance reauthorizing building permit fees, updating the master fee schedule and adding short-term rental fees and subdivision review fees.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? No discussion. Vote for approval. Passed unanimously. Okay. Discussion and action on resolution casting votes for the Board of Directors of the Bastrop Central Appraisal District.
Okay, Mayor and Council, this is something we do frequently. In the past, we've submitted nominations. Now it's time to actually cast the votes. In aggregate, there are 5,000 votes to cast. And I handed each of you what the county, how they were going to disperse their votes. And they've indicated they're going to give Mr. Besner 380 and Ms. Ralph 1,000 votes. Again, this is out of 5,000. The top 5 vote getters will end up on the board. To that point, as the Bastrop County has committed 1,000 votes to Ms. Ralph, it is my recommendation that we cast all 62 votes to Mr. Besner because we do want local representation in our interlocal government. So casting those votes to Mr. Besner will give him a better chance of being one of the 5 who actually makes the cut. Now, that's just a recommendation. You can do something different if you like.
So just so I understand, obviously there's 6 candidates and the top 5 get it. So right now Jeannie's guaranteed to be in. Is that correct?
There's no guarantees.
Well, how
She's
could
got
it-
1,000 votes out of 5,000.
So who's left to vote for Besser?
That'd be the school.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's still a lot of people outstanding to vote. So the 380 and the 1,000 aren't all the votes that those 2 candidates will get.
Correct.
Okay. Because that needs to be taken into consideration if we think about reallocating votes, because it would make sense if we felt like that since Jeannie had more than Besner, and if that was all the votes, she would automatically be one of the 5.
Yeah, the back page here gives you the vote allocations per entity. If you look at and I think Jennifer has it up on the screen. So you can get a feel for what people are doing. But I have got nothing from Bastrop ISD yet. I'm just telling you, this is typically what.
That's just Bastrop County, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And what we did, if I remember right, didn't we kind of split them even?
You did
It
last
was like an
time.
odd number, so one person got one
Done
more.
in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I need to make a note. Typically, I do abstain on this because of a distant familiar relationship, so I'm going to have to abstain. Jennifer, I can sign that paperwork later.
I'll entertain a motion.
I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, given what I think I understand, which is there's so many votes unknown out there today, I would be inclined to stick where we are, just personally, and not change it. Now, if I felt like that, Jeannie was in for sure and we could reallocate some votes in a way to give Mr. Besner a better chance and, like Robert said, get more representation. But, if we, would we be taking any votes away from Jeannie? We'd be taking them all, right? Because we only have a limited number. So what you suggested we consider is taking the ones we previously gave to Jeannie and giving them to Besner. And I'm not comfortable with that just personally.
Are we, when you say local, are you saying, I know Jeannie lives in Smithville, or is that what you're referring to in terms
Yeah,
of
Mr.
Smithville?
Besner and
They're
they're Smithville.
does too?
Correct.
Okay, and they're the only 2 that live in Smithville?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I will entertain a motion of how you want to divide these up right now. I'm for giving it to Jeannie Ralph myself, so.
Well, I think it needs to be really clear. I think we've already voted on that, haven't we? We've already cast our ballot.
No,
We haven't?
you made nominees. Now you're actually voting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Today
Then-
is where you
okay,
decide to
Okay, then
allocate.
I think somebody, you make a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, no, you.
Oh, no,
No.
I guess I'm chair. Do I make
No,
the
yeah,
motion?
absolutely.
Okay, I can go there.
Mayors can make motion. They never do, but they
Yeah.
can.
All right. All right, let me look at this. I make a motion that we keep the voting at the 62 votes from Smithville to Jeannie Ralph for the Board of Directors of the Bastrop Central Appraisal District.
I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry. Did you give all 62 to Jeannie? Is that what that motion just was?
That's what that motion just was.
Don't think that's what you wanted to do. You got to give some to Besner.
Well, Robert, we don't have to do anything.
No, you don't.
I mean, we can do what
In
we
the
decide
past,
to
you
do,
split,
but I do
you
think
have
it-
split the
but-
votes
but-
in the past.
I know, but I do think it's important to make sure that Mayor Pro Tem Jenkins understands where there's 62 total votes, right?
I understand that
Okay,
the 62
okay.
total votes were going to Jeannie Ralph.
Okay, so that's your motion to give all of them to
My
Jeannie.
motion when I said it, yes,
Okay.
and
And we've got a second, right? Okay.
yes.
But just point of clarification, we've never given all to anyone else. It's always been split. And that's what your conversation you led with. We've typically gone half and half. I just don't want to see Mr. Besner not get on there. And the more votes, not that Jeannie's not qualified and she's probably going to get on with 1,000, but you take a strong chance if you give them all to her that Besner's going to be left out. And we won't have two people representing Smithville. That's the last I'll say about it.
Well, if you look at the math, Councilmember Jameson has abstained. The mayor is not present to break a tie. Mayor Pro Tem can vote. We presumably have 2 votes in favor if the second is an indication of supporting. And so we're either going, what are we going to do if we end up at 2-2? I think you should call for the vote. You've got a motion and a second.
We have discussion. Are we done with discussion? We are. Those in favor? Against? 3-1. Okay. Discussion and action on the 2024 certified tax levy for the city of Smithville citizen? Is that correct? Discussion and action on the certified tax levy for the city of Smithville. Okay, it just says citizen after it. That's what I was going by. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Mayor, this is something you do every year. You have to certify the tax levy. And the levy in and of itself is 2,646,798 based on an assessed value of 449,408,100,000. Anything I'm leaving out?
No, this basically just tells you how much you're going to collect for the interest and sinking, the debt portion and the maintenance and operation. And it's just something that we have to certify, so.
So can I ask a question? So these amounts are not a surprise in any way or a deviation from our prior assumptions or projections? Did I open a can of worms?
Not really.
Okay,
There
so
was a
can-
lot of calculations based upon what the freeze and the exemptions and
Right.
everything did, but no, this is not.
I mean, this is the actual
Normal.
numbers that we
Okay.
will collect based on the tax rate that we certified.
The reason I asked the question is we had a fairly, let's just say, an engaged discussion around the budget and every dollar was important. And so that's why I asked the question is is this certified tax roll, is it going to result in the same or more tax revenue to us that we assumed in the budget?
This is going to actually be different. When I calculated,
I couldn't hear you.
This, this is based on the proper tax rate, based on the certified. When I did the estimation and estimated what was going to be maintenance and operation and what was interest and sinking, the frozen tax number was based on what people were at that time. Through this long, complicated calculation, basically, when I was given the number for the frozen total, I assumed incorrectly, or I didn't assume, I put that all and said that was going to be maintenance and operation and added that to the total. What I actually should have done, which I have no way of calculating it until I got this report, in my number that I had put in the budget didn't equal what is on here. Because when they send me that number, it was the total number. I didn't think to say, okay, well, it's 500,000, roughly 500,000 in the frozen taxes. Part of that was to the debt. Part of that was maintenance and operation. They did not give me a breakdown. In the calculation, I assumed my debt rate in the truth and taxation calculation, it came out that my debt rate should be 2.227580. But when they actually calculated, they had to go back and they took that portion of that frozen. It's really hard to
No,
explain.
I think I understand because we did not know how many were going to be frozen tax. That changed the
And
number.
so when I did the calculation, I calculated that the debt we needed on the approved or the total assessed value, we needed 0.22758. But in reality, I didn't take into effect that we were going to get a portion of the frozen amount. I needed to actually do something. I've called Ellen and we will have a big discussion next time when we do this. The numbers are right. We're taxed right. You know, the tax rate is right. It's just that we are now going to collect more for the debt and service portion than we will for the maintenance and operation portion. It's basically what's going to happen. So our budget for that is going to be less. I will actually collect less.
Okay, on the maintenance,
Mhm.
and more on the
And
debt.
more will go into
But the
interest.
total is
The total is
the same.
correct.
Okay, so what are the implications of that for operations? How much? Give me a magnitude of what that less amount is.
175 to 200,000.
Okay, so a meaningful amount of money that's going to not be available for operations. So what's the protocol? Is there any ability to do and take some action to reverse that after the fact?
I
It's
cannot.
statutory, right?
No.
Okay, so we're stuck with that $200,000 shortfall.
All I can do is next year when we calculate our tax rate, and I calculate through the truth and taxation, because the truth and taxation calculation didn't take the freeze number into effect. So it gave me a number. So I went off of that number when I called Ellen and we had a long discussion. She said, basically, next year, I need to adjust down that number. So my debt number could go down next year because this year I'm going to have over collected what I need. And because that is set for debt, it can only be used for debt.
Right. So, so
So-
does that mean that we're going to actually use those dollars to pay down debt? Pay some
Yes,
principal down since that's all we
I mean,
can
it-
do?
the good
yes.
news is you'll be better,
Yeah.
closer to
And
paying
next
off
year,
your
I
debt.
could technically lower my
Right.
debt by the amount that I've over collected. I can only use that. Basically, it comes to 175,000. So I'll have extra to pay down debt. I can lower our debt portion next year.
So.
We got a
it's-
shortfall in operation?
Yeah, so how are we going to budget? How are we going to spread that 200,000 across the budget? Is that process underway?
Yeah, it is. There's give and takes. There's some revenue that we didn't expect that we're probably going to get, but again, I'm not prepared to go into that, but
So
yes,
maybe by
it'll
next
offset.
time, next month, maybe?
This is a ever-changing situation.
Okay,
Very
well,
dynamic. So the 200,000 or 175 we're talking about, yeah,
And
there's some
and it's,
things. that-
and tax bills and that haven't even gone out. So we've had no, debt,
So the point is, don't get spun up over it. It's a $16.7 million budget. It's $175,000 shortfall. I've already found about 80,000 in extra revenue that we didn't count on when we had our budget meeting last month. So
Well-
you could do a a soothsayer. You could say, oh yeah, we're going to not do this, but then again, more revenue comes in elsewhere we didn't expect, like,
Yeah.
for example, the 10,000 gallon fuel tank that just went in. We have more capacity and the numbers are going to go higher for the expenditure, but the revenue coming in because we now have 10,000 gallons of fuel versus 4 is going to increase our position.
Fair
So-
enough. I'm not getting, just to be clear, I'm not getting spun up over $200,000, but I do think that we ought to allocate it across, just like we do in the budget, to tell the council where you think it's going to
Literal.
go. No, I'm just saying, it's an immaterial amount in the big scheme, but it's all the operations, and we were very tight. I mean, we were down to cutting 20,000 and 30,000, cutting back, COLA increases to employees and things. So 200,000 is not, it's not material on 15 million, but it's a material amount of money. And I think I would.
Well,
at
it's a
some
material
point-
to that line. to the-
Yeah,
to the
whatever it
operating-
is. If it's
yeah.
spread out over a bunch of expenses, it won't be material in any one, but I think it would be important. Hopefully we'll have some pickups. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
we'll have some pickups on the revenue side. But I do.
Well, can we set a timeline to follow up for an update on that, like in January or something, Robert?
And
Is
you're
that too
gonna
soon?
you'll see it in, I mean, in your financial report, your property tax line
So
item.
we'll watch it every month.
Yeah,
Well-
you're gonna see it and see that, hey, we may not be at our normal. And the property tax is hard to do anyway, because your collections are always gonna be loaded well, this year, the tax note, property tax bills haven't even gone out yet.
Yeah.
They're first gonna go out towards the end of this week. So our collections this year, we've got none for November, where last year we were already collecting. So our collections will be, the bulk of them will be in November and December. So you're gonna see a big bulk. You'll see where you're at come January, and then things will play out through the rest of the,
Well, and
through the rest
because
of the
we
year.
straight line budget,
you
I mean,
will
we're not going to
see it.
see any of this until month 11 and 12.
yeah.
I mean, we're going to go negative at the end because we don't budget for
Yes, and you'll
seasonality. We
see
budget
how
straight line.
Far off we
Yeah,
will
But
be.
we have time. I just would like to
Well,
know.
yeah, I don't want us, I mean, if we're going to monitor it each
Yeah.
month, that's fine. I just don't want us to
But it's
look
not gonna
back
tell us-
in month 7th or 8th and
It's,
say,
it's,
we're-
it's- it's not going to really tell us anything is my point, because
Yeah,
we
and you
don't
never know when
budget
people are gonna
seasonally. We
pay.
budget straight line. And
It's-
we don't
But
get
we can
revenue
in-
and
we can-
expenses straight lines.
we can infer seasonality into
Yeah.
the collections. I had asked Cynthia a question before the meeting, and I'm asking you now, and just an explanation, when we look at the fund balances, we're showing a $483,000 under recommended level on the recommended fund balance. But that's a timing issue too. Similar to this, the collections are not running as they normally do
General fund is not.
in the general fund. Yeah.
So tell me, you explained it was because of this unique freeze, but every year we have people that are 65 and over. Every year we have that, but what is different about the communication this
it
year
was
versus?
based on the excessive dollar amount, what is it? How do you say it? For this year, we hadn't had the freeze in the past. We went from 30 people to this year having the 463. So there was a tremendous impact. If it would have been a smaller number, we probably wouldn't even have noticed the impact to the budget, because in the prior year, yes, we did have the freeze. This year you had 463, so that's $500,000.
Yeah. I get
And
it.
like
But in
I
terms of,
said,
but
in
in
my
terms of the,
calculation-
but in terms of the interaction with the tax office, there's not anything that happened differently this year
No,
than prior
no,
year.
and and like I said, that truth in taxation calculation, it walks me through, and I go through and I put, and it does excess value, and it took out the freeze number. And so when I calculated the debt rate, it gave it on the assessed value that did not include that freeze number. And to me, they should change that calculation. We have a meeting every year that we do the annual update, and I have a lady, I will be asking this year, how can I determine, because I don't know the set number, because it's a froze number. So I have no idea of knowing how much is actual debt and how much is maintenance and operation. And like I said, I talked to Ellen probably an hour the other day about it.
I'm good as long as we
Some
monitor it every
idea.
month, which I know you do. I might forget. I'm going to try and make a note to come in and look, but I'm not getting spun up either.
Yeah,
I'm just,
yeah,
I
it's-
don't want us to get stuck later and we've got a
It's-
$175,000
We're
short.
1 month in, so it's really hard to tell right.
It's-
I can estimate that
Yeah.
I'm going to be short.
It's easier. I mean, for me personally, I always look at the utility because the hot weather and I mean, that's the key. If you look at the 1/12 and you look where you are, and where you should be based on prior years. That's how you get the seasonality. You look at where we were the prior year because that already has actual. So you know the seasonality. We'll just have to watch that and see. But yeah, do you want a motion to just, I think that, does anybody else want to talk about it? Because I think we need to do this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Will you take the motion?
Yes.
I move that we approve the certified tax roll for 2024. Property taxes being 2646798 based on total assessed value of 449, 408, 100 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? Yay? Vote for yay?
Is there anything that we can do to help you with this process? I mean, or is there anything that we can do? Sounds like we can't unwind it. We can't, it just is what it is, right? Okay.
Vote was unanimous. Okay, discussion and action on an appointment to reappoint members of the Smithville Housing Authority Board.
Okay, Mayor and Council, but in your package, you do have a list of reappointments. Everyone listed here, Kim Roberts, Brother Mike Murphy and Novalee Wolf have all indicated they would like to be reappointed. It's a 5-member board. 2 members are appointed in even, 2 members in odd, and there's a resident member who's appointed every year. So bless you. So recommend you, and their applications, by the way, were already submitted, but I think Jennifer put them in your packet anyway, just so you can see that they were previously approved. With that, that's, any questions?
So there's 3 we're voting on.
There's 3.
The only comment I'll make is one I've made prior years, which is when we approve appointees to these various boards, this is essentially delegated authority by the city council to these different boards. And I think we are responsible to make sure that the meetings are being held, that the people that we're appointing are showing up and they're making contributions. And in the past, I'd asked if maybe the city staff could collect at least verbally from the chair of these organizations that these nominees are participating. I'm assuming if they weren't, they wouldn't be on here, but can you opine at all, Robert, as to whether these candidates are active and engaging and contributing the way we want them to?
They are. Miss Rhonda will definitely let us know if there's something awry from the housing authority. So. And
Sure they have minutes that, and stuff that tell, so we should be able to just see the minutes and that would take it. Any more discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move we approve the appointments to replace and reappoint members of the Smithville Housing Authority Board as recommended.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Having none, vote for yay. Unanimous. Okay, discussion and action on approval of the financial report.
Okay, you should have in your packet the report for October, 1 month into the year. Overall, the revenues are at 1.2 million of that new $16 million budget. Expenses and revenues are pretty well even. Overall, if you look at the general fund is, of course, it's not as good. It's under, again, due to the property tax collection and just the things that go on at this time of the year. The utility fund actually improved over last year. I think that's just due to the utility being a little bit hotter this year, the electricity and that collections. I don't know if y'all have any questions. Again, you know, the reserves in that I'm like I said, as we move on in the next 2 months, that's gonna, like I said, the general fund will definitely turn around because your collections will all come in January. You know, a lot of our expenses are paid annually. As you can see from my report, a lot of the bigger expenses have been paid. Our property, a lot of those are done. So we always are hit with more expenses at the beginning of the year, and they're not collected or paid for on the general fund till later in the year.
Yeah, I just ask you, I mean, the last 2 years, I hadn't seen it run that far behind, so that's why.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just I think a timing thing too, because like I said, the tax bills are normally out at this time and we have had no collections, so.
Why are they running late? Do we know?
I don't know. I just received an email that said it looked like that the tax notices would not go out till hopefully by November the 15th. So they're not going to go out till hopefully Friday, which then, because like I said, we've collected hardly anything. And last year, I know we did have some collections, but
But unfortunately, they're still going to be due January 31st, right? It'd be nice to, let's push
so
out 2 weeks.
I expect to see a lot more collection come December than normal.
It's not our fault they're going out late.
No, we have no control over that.
Quick question, the 16,566 for the sidewalk curb and gutter at Fourth and Ramona, was that extra that wasn't budgeted for? Or because I know that sounds like that's right around Katie House when they were doing the work on Second Street and we talked about the sidewalk. Is that part of that contract or is it just something that we had money and we decided to do?
Which one is it?
The 16,
The 16,566, it says install sidewalk curb and gutter at Fourth and
Yes.
Ramona. That's
That-
around
that
Katie House.
is
That was
con-
that. Okay.
That is part of that, and part of that would be reimbursed
perfect.
by Katie House.
You want a motion? Move we approve financial report as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote to approve. None for the opposite, so motion approved. And we are.
one announcement, just to remind folks, Thursday at 5:30, there'll be a special called council meeting and workshop. We're going to have a presentation from BEFCO on the final wastewater treatment facility expansion study. Then we'll do boards and commissions and ethics and also talk about banning TikTok from any city-owned property, laptop, phone. Be a good meeting, 5:30 to 7:30.
This is the shortest meeting in my tenure.
Move we adjourn.
Yeah.
Second.